Lattice. Ford Tamer just came in as the new CEO for the earnings. What happened?
Yeah, so he's coming in kind of at the opposite end, right? He's coming in right now. This has been, I think everyone hoped for companies like Lattice that had high exposures to industrial, to comms networks, to consumer, and people were hoping for V-shaped recoveries. The market's, jolting to all-time high. There's all kinds of enthusiasm around AI. This turn has been a little bit more conservative. It's happening in a bit more of this kind of extended U shape. What I do think is starting to become evident is that there is a bit of a bottom here. The company still is winning in terms of across the board in FPGA. If you look at other companies in this space, like the part of, AMD doesn't really focus on this very much because of the diversification, the MI business, some of the PC growth in the business, but Xilinx is slow, Altera is slow. So Lattice is kind of doing the best of a difficult situation right now. So they've seen their margins drop. They've seen earnings. They're kind of, on a sequential basis doing okay, but on a year-on-year basis, they're struggling a little bit. They're doing well in parts. They're doing well where there's AI. They're doing well, and some of the stuff they're doing around devices, the sidecar FPGAs on some of these new AI PCs are opportunistic on phones, on servers. But overall, Pat, this is kind of a company that is in the kind of middle of a recovery. The good news is I do believe there is a recovery, but the key is also not just diversification. It's that they've gone upstream. So they've built their TAM, they expanded their TAM, which is something they're going to need to do. And they're going to need to continue to really double down and dig in to communicate to the market the AI play that they have on handsets or on PCs, on server, because, whether it's Lattice, whether it's Marvell, whether it's Coherent, a lot of these companies are digging their way out by basically turning what used to be core businesses into secondary businesses and are creating these new businesses in silicon photonics, in networking, in AI chips. And so Lattice has the same challenge. The core legacy parts of the business may be a little slower. Automotive is another interesting part of their business, though, too, which has been performing really, really well. But it is going to take some time here. This is not an overnight. They had 10, 11 great quarters in a row, and they've had now about 3 or 4 that a little bit more challenging. And in all the indications I got from the conversations I had was the challenges will continue for at least another quarter. But I think the diversification and some of the TAM expansion should serve them well, especially if markets turn and if they can make that AI move.
Yeah, so what Ford outlined on the call, and by the way, I'm actually meeting with Ford tonight to say hi. I'd never met him face to face. I'm going to shake his hand.
Where at? Are you guys having dinner?
We're just meeting for drinks right across from my condo. So he's in town. But no, listen, there were headwinds, industrial and automotive, right? A 7% sequential decline due to inventory adjustments and softer demand. I know we talked about Qualcomm crushing it, but they're actually not the norm there. Most of the industry, and this was some analysis that I had to do, which was, hey, we are seeing quarter on quarter growth from these industrial IoT spaces. There was softer demand and inventory adjustments. Ford said he anticipates more of a U-shaped recovery in the middle of 2025 with kind of modest single-digit revenue growth expected for the next year. There was a 14% reduction in force during Q3, not expected to impact any roadmap, things like customer support. One thing I always like for a new CEO to do when they come in and kind of give the lay of the land, and what Ford talked about was financial discipline, aligning investments with high return opportunities, market leadership, right? Strengthening the position in key sectors like communications and computing. You had mentioned that, and focus on edge AI, capitalize on growing demand for AI.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Now it is interesting. If you look at Ford's LinkedIn and his background, he is a hardcore M&A guy, right? And I don't know what that portends to, what that means. Maybe it's nothing, but he has a combination of being an operator, but also being heavily engaged in M&A, and he has been a VC. So very, very interested to get to know him and see what he is going to do to drive growth and profitability at the company.